Greetings, friends, and welcome to the woods. I wanted to answer a few questions about the quantum method of therapy since I mentioned it a little while back in reference to being able to reprogram yourself so that some of the shutdown and some of the twistedness that you experienced or you may have brought on by past experiences, either as a child for most of us, or perhaps later in life if you had truly traumatic, difficult experiences. I wanted to comment on quantum therapy as a method of rectifying that. But I was hesitant to get too deep into it because of the quantum effect, what some call the Mandela effect. Now let me explain. Some of us do not completely sync with one timeline, with one reality, with one phase into our reality. Some of us extend our consciousness, our awareness out to other phases. And in the past, that's linked us to other timelines. And so we will have an awareness of this current timeline we were in, but we would also have a residual memory, or sometimes it's a primary memory of the timeline that we were attuned to previously. Not everybody wants to be quantum. I would say the majority of people, when they experience a timeline shift, whether our timeline is interfered with by people going back into the past to move things around and destabilize our timeline, or whether their awareness, their consciousness, their life wave has shifted from one reality to another, regardless of how that occurs, they immediately adapt to the new reality. Not all of us do that. For some of us, the Disney movie Snow White included an evil queen who stood before her mirror and said, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest one of all?" But in the timeline we're now living in, that was never a reality. In our timeline, it was always, "Magic mirror on the wall, who is the fairest one of all?" If that surprises you, you too may be quantum. Probably are quantum. But I learned a long time ago, because this has been going on in my life for a long time, since I was a child. I've learned not to mouth off about it. Most often it upsets people. I get a lecture about having a bad memory, or getting confused about, you thought it was this, but you weren't paying attention. It annoys other people, and it annoys me. So I've learned to take a step back and just look at it. And my reality, my memory might be different from other people's. So when they speak up and say, "Oh, no, you're wrong about that," okay. It's the way it happened for me, but okay. And it is okay. They may be from a timeline. Their reality is solid. It is what happened. It is their memory, and it is what happened. But then mine is accurate too. We're commingling, we're coexisting within this world that's been brought together from multiple timelines, and that's okay. But because of this, I hesitate to be too definitive when I talk about other people, except in reference to myself. Dolores Cannon, to my understanding, was a therapist, she worked with the spirit and the mind. She worked with consciousness. She was a hypnotherapist. Hypnotherapy has gotten a bad rap. It's gotten very little respect. But for those of us who studied the roots of psychology and psychiatry, we know that one of the founding fathers, if not the founding father of those disciplines, Freud, utilized dream interpretation. He utilized hypnotherapy. He was all about getting to the root of our programming and changing it up so we could function better in society. And that's what Dolores did. She's very good at it. But she broke the rules. She was told that you just have to stick to the very light hypnosis, the very light side of hypnosis. You never go down into the depths. You don't touch that. It's dangerous. It's bad. You don't do it. Some of us, when we're told not to do something, it inspires us to investigate deeper. And she did. And what she discovered was a method not just to help people with weight loss or with their smoking addiction, but how to change their entire soul perspective in this lifetime, simply by tapping into the deepest roots of what holds them to this world, to this body, to this consciousness, to this reality. And her practitioners, her students, continue that to this day. Her methods, where you go and you speak to the soul of the person you're working with and invite that soul to speak, to respond, to provide the answer to whatever questions need answering. Now, there's very few ways that you can shift your programming. Meditation is one. Trauma is another. Falling in love is another. Things that make you conscious of who you are and where you are at this time. But hypnotherapy, when it's reinforced and working with a good practitioner, is an excellent method to take control of your deeper programming and your entire life through that. Because a lot of us, we run on our deeper programming, and most of that, it wasn't put into us consciously by our will. It was a product of growing up in the environment we grew up in, the people around us. Now, part of the reason that the military and religion will put people through trauma, there's also certain disciplines like healing, doctors, the hazing that doctors go through, where they're working really, really long hours under really high pressure situations. It's to create that trauma effect, to rebuild them. You break the person to rebuild them in the image of that system. Military, obviously, they have a certain system. They break the person and they give them a new identity, something that more fits with the organizational skills that they are trying to entrain, as well as the new priorities of obedience and the willingness to assert aggression on behalf of who you are in service to. With religion, specifically with the Catholic Church, it has to do with, again, taking on a new identity. You're becoming a servant, some would say a slave, of the church itself. Therefore, you have to lose who you were to become who you are going to be. You can utilize that same method. Most initiations do. But I hesitate hesit I hesitated to talk about the quantum therapy because I wasn't certain if my facts would be straight. I've heard some pretty amazing things about Dolores, her ability to reach down through time and have conversations with Nostradamus, which allowed him to learn something about the future and, and us to learn something about the past. And she did put together a couple books of the true translation of Nostradamus because he was annoyed that so much of his quatrains, his prophecies, were misunderstood, and he wanted to provide some enlightenment on it. In my reality, that's what occurred. I hope that by the time you see this, that reality has not shifted. And we should probably talk about timelines in the future. Welcome to the woods.